Welcome to Superconnections. I am your host, Jennifer K. Hill, helping you with the golden triangle of connection, where you will superconnect to yourself, others, and your purpose. Join me each week as I will share from some of my favorite tips and tools for superconnecting, and I'll bring in some of my favorite friends and thought leaders to help support you on your journey to superconnecting to the life of your dreams. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Superconnections podcast. I am your host, Jennifer K. Hill, and you are joining us for episode 20 of Superconnections, where each week we gather and help you to superconnect to yourself, others, and your purpose. Today, we have an amazing thought leader, author, prolific entrepreneur who is here to help uplift humanity and help 300 million people break free from learned helplessness and victim thinking. We have joining us today, Kellan Fluckiger. So Kellan is going to be sharing with us today wisdom from his many books that he has written, as well as the work that he did being a prior C-suite executive who battled decades of depression, even went through an experience where he flatlined in 2018 in the ICU in a near-death experience. And we'll deep dive a little bit into that and how that has shifted how he now sees the world and life. He's the author of over 20 books and also the host of Your Ultimate Life podcast, which I encourage everybody to check out. So Kellan, thank you so much for being here with us today.
You're welcome, and I want to honor you. A podcast is a labor of love, and you're amazing for doing it to add good to the world. So bless you and every word that comes out of your mouth.
Oh, thank you, Kellan. And the same for you, my friend. It is a labor of love. We do this because we all have wisdom within us. And the question is, we all have different teachers and thought leaders who resonate with us. And we might hear the same message over and over for decades from our friends or families or whomever it is. But sometimes hearing something in that one voice, like hearing your voice and your story, can be the catalyst for change. So that's why I love to do this and bring our listeners bite-sized pieces of wisdom and tools that we can all take into our lives. So Kellan, you have this profound story. You've been C-suite executive, decades of depression, which I can totally relate to. And now you're the host of this incredible podcast, and you went through a near-death experience. Tell us a little bit about how that's shaped how you connect to yourself and your life and your purpose.
So I want to frame all this in the context of one principle, and there are many to talk about, but the first principle is love. You can make a choice and then take the activities that allow you, cause you to love yourself and the being that you are, despite the things you think you want to change or things you perceive as flaws and stuff other people says, whatever. I have a disease called WITOT, and it's a made-up disease, WITOT, right? And it stands for what I think others think. And I created that name at the beginning of COVID, and I used to say WITOT kills more people than COVID ever will. So what I think others think, it gets in the way of self-love. So my story, oh my word, I was raised in a home with a lot of struggles and abuse and ended up believing I wasn't good enough. And that was the story of my life for 52 years. In 2007, I had a divine intervention, which was a loud enough voice, as you mentioned a moment ago, to cause me to just walk away from everything and start over because I was so destroyed. And I literally attempted suicide for the second time 2 weeks before it happened. So I asked myself, who am I? Who am I really? And I did all the work with therapists and all the stuff you need to do. And after a couple of years, the growth that I was experiencing, I said, you know what? I could really help people with this stuff I've learned and done for me, blah, blah, blah. And so I said, oh, I got to do that. What is that? Ooh, I think that's like coaching or something. So I explored that and turned into a coach, if you will. I had been a consultant, highly paid and a C-suite, blah, blah, blah. But nothing gives me the joy. And my mission today, as you mentioned, is to reach 300 million people this year by October 14th, actually, because that's New Year's for me, to end victim thinking, learned helplessness, addiction to mediocrity, and instead replace it with fierce life ownership, a commitment to excellence, and a loving heart to serve, because that's where joy is. That's also where money and prosperity is, by the way. It's your best gift. you can do another thing over there, but it isn't going to fill you up in here. Yeah, in the last 18 years, that's all I've been doing. In the middle of that, as you mentioned, in 2018, I contracted a fatal illness, flatlined, died in the ICU of the University of Alberta Medical Center here. Had 3 conversations with God at the door between life and eternity. And I have all of this stuff that I'm telling you. I never was an author, but after this started happening, I thought, I need to write this down. So I started writing. And now, not only have I written 20, I'm in the middle of number 21 right now, but one of my favorite things to do is to help people mine their lives for those turning points and write their own books, create their own stories and programs and things, not as a memoir, yay, look at me, but as a tool for service. And I find that there's nothing like the rigor of figuring out which stories matter, what you actually learned, and then writing a book and creating a program about that so you can offer what you have to the world.
I think it's so powerful, Kellen. Like you, I've been through near-death experiences, and some of us, I feel like we have to go through that in order to wake up our soul and to connect to our purpose. Hopefully, for some of you listening out there, you don't have to go through such extreme measures, because I think that's the thing is that some of my greatest teachers have taught me that the universe gives us a little nudge, right? Like our life isn't, we're not following our deeper intuition, our soul's path, whatever you want to call it, right? And so the universe gives us a little knock. It'll be like, hi, hey Kellen, hey Jen, it's me. I want you to do this other thing. You're meant to be an author. You're meant to do this with your life, right? But you're like, no, I'm busy being a C-suite executive or whatever is happening, right? And then as my teachers always taught me, it's then the universe gives you a little nudge on your arm, little punch to the arm. But these are all showing up, not just metaphorically, but literally in our lives through like tripping, falling metaphorically, physically through life until finally, if we're not listening to our higher purpose and why we're here, then we're going to be re-guided through an extreme life event. Though the good news is we can listen to that deeper inner knowing, which is many of the tools we've been sharing on the show thus far, is what if we could turn up the volume of our higher self, our soul, whatever you want to call it, and turn down the volume of the ego so we don't have to go through such extreme hardships, so we can follow our life's path. So tell us a little bit, Kellen, about some of your favorite tools now that you've had this illuminating experience with your life. What are some of your favorite tools to connect deeply to yourself, others, and your purpose as you move through life?
That's fabulous. I love your little thing about they get louder and louder. In 2007, mine was a 2x4, out of body for 18 hours in hell, and woke up with the determination, I don't know what I got to do, but I'm done. And that was different than 2018 when I got sick. I counted that one as a blessing. That was a cherry on the cake because of what I'd been doing for the 11 years. All right. Since 2007, I'm going to tell you 2 things. And I'm going to only be able to give them at high level. And if you want more detail, Living with Purpose and Power. I wrote 17 years worth of work in that book to do the 2 things I'm going to tell you. One is you have to decide who you are. For me, what that looked like is writing a personal constitution, Magna Carta, whatever it is. It's an agreement with God about who I am and what I'm here for. Because I said so. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need anyone's agreement. This is you in the most powerful words that you can find, and you'll change it over time as you get more developed and you'll get better at it and understand more. But you got to start somewhere, and they're fierce declarations of who I am in the world, period. That's who I am. And it took me months and months. I been working on it for 15 years. And the result is I have a document that's so powerful, and by now I have it memorized and woven into my DNA, that when I use it, the walls are on fire. It brings me to weeping. It is that moving. Okay, cool. So that's number 1. And the second one is all that cool stuff doesn't matter unless you create a way. I call it a DCP, and I call the first one a PTAC. I love acronyms. Personal Truth and Commitment. And the second one is a daily creation process. So no Olympian warms up after the event. No singer warms up after the show. No pianist warms up after the concert. So why would we roll into our day half-baked? We roll out of bed, grab the phone, do whatever, and then we are battered around by whatever's happening. No, the first moments, and for me, when I teach it, I start with 40 minutes, but my personal daily creation ritual, which I never skip under any circumstances, is 2.5 hours. And people say, how do you have that time? Oh, my word. I creates time. I got 5 hours back because I do this. So it's an intentional way to create yourself in the fashion of the document that you have created. So you've declared who you are in the most sacred and holy way you can. And then you remind, refresh, renew, repower that vision every single day so that in every conversation, every breath, every thought, every moment, you are living life through the beingness of that thing you have declared for yourself to be. If you do those two things, you can have anything you want.
I love this, Kellan, and it ties in perfectly. You didn't even know one of the recent episodes we did was with another friend, Nico, who has a company called Vision Espresso. And in it, he takes recordings of your voice and then turns it using AI, talking about your vision, your purpose. He played one for me on one of the last shows. And I love that because we all have this vision and purpose, yet we forget about it, right? And life happens and we get busy with work and the kids and lifing and whatever else happens. And I love what you're saying is be intentional. I have a weekly newsletter I write on LinkedIn called Inspired Living Tools. If you Google Inspired Living Tools, you'll pull it up. And a couple months ago, I had written an article called What Will We Do When There's Nothing Left to Do? Because of this emergence of AI, we're moving from a doing world into a being world, the ontology of what you're talking about, Kellan. What if we could actively participate in and choose who we want to be in the world? In fact, I even have one of my business coaches reminded me of this. And on my phone, you can see it says connection and contribution. And so that is a reminder to myself that my vision for the world is connection and contribution. And the big game I'm playing is that people have a deep relationship to themselves, others, and their purpose. And what I'm hearing you say out of that, Kellan, is that is how we can create our day. Rather than reacting to circumstances, we actually get to have a say in what matters to us and how do we come from nothing and create our day anew every day.
In my conversations with God, one of the topics that didn't come up was why he created us to die every night and wake up every morning and sleep away a third of our lives. Maybe next time I'll ask, but we do. And so given that, why wouldn't we intentionally create ourselves? You might go create an omelet. You might creating your beingness. And what you said, I love it. When doing's done and being is what there is. I already live that. The doing is an outflow because I'm not going to just sit there in a chair. And so the doing is automatic. It comes out of who we choose to be. And if we are choosing for being is unconscious and accidental and reactive, then the doing follows because it can't do anything else. If you choose to be a beacon of light, a vessel of love, a conduit of power, a voice for peace, if you choose that consciously and intentionally, then all of your doing flows from that and there isn't room for anything else. So that intentional choice and creation of the state of being is the master key, because after that, the doing, it happens from your being.
And it's so powerful. And you're reminding me of one of my other teachers who I love and adore, teacher Arthur Samuel Joseph, who I studied with for about 13 plus years, is a famous vocal coach. And when we started working together about 13 years ago, he taught me something called the 168-hour exercise that I may have mentioned here before, but I'll re-presence it for everyone. The idea is, Kellan, no matter who you are, whether you're the president of a company, whether you're a garbage truck driver, it doesn't matter. We all have the same amount of time to invest, 168 hours. And there's an exercise that you can do, which most good business coaches will do, that Arthur introduced me to, and that's to look at a snapshot of your average week. Where are we investing our time? And what would it look like if we actively participated, like you and I, we both choose to spend 2 hours a day in prayer meditation. I'm the same as you. I do about 2 hours every day. And I choose that if I have downtime, great, I'm going to take that moment to reflect, to journal, to meditate, to be sure I'm cleaning the glass so I can see myself in the world clearly. So I'd love to hear anything else from you on that, Kellan, of how you've designed your life to support this.
You bet. So your topic was connecting to yourself, and we've talked about that. Connecting to others and connecting your purpose. That is all intentional. Connecting to others. When I train coaches, here's what I tell them. You want to close clients, you want to enroll people, the first thing you got to do is exercise your give a crap muscle. Because when you come at situations and people with the knowledge and truth that you truly care about where they're at, what their possibility is, connecting to them in a powerful and meaningful way is easy. And it's not difficult. And they may or may not turn into your clients, and who cares? So that connection is so important because it is the foundation of trust, and trust is what is required for growth. If you didn't trust your coach, athletic or music or business or personal coach, nothing would happen. And connecting with your mission, you got to have one. You got to decide what it is, and it isn't going to come in an Amazon box, and you're not going to go on a safari and dig it up in the yard. The way I help people find it is what's called the triple helix. You look at your stack of skills, stack of gifts, and your life experiences, which is the basket in which all of that unfolds. And when you use your skills, gifts, and life experience together, you will land and be drawn to a purpose that resonates with all of this that you are. It's really fulfilling because it's all of you. And so that's what I was thinking about connecting in the context of what you bring to people. You're valuable, each of you. I don't care what you think. I don't care where you've been. I don't care who said what to whom, whenever they did. The truth is you're precious, you're divine, and you or me, you can sit in a place where you ignore that or disbelieve it or discount it, or you can own it, maybe a little at a time through these practices, and get to your place of self-love, loving others. Like, we're built to love and serve each other. That's what we're here to do, all in different, unique, and powerful ways. Even our bodies reflect that. When we're in service, we get all those feel-good things, oxytocin and anandamide and all that good stuff. So we're actually built to do that. And so that yearning that you feel is from your true self, your divine, your higher power. It is. And so listen, it's where the joy lies. It's where the power lies. And it creates a day. That's why I use the name Ultimate Life for the podcast. Ultimate Life's a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. And you can have it. It's not outside your reach.
Beautiful. Kellan, tell me, any closing thoughts before we tell people where to connect with you today?
I'll tell you a closing thought. I don't care who you are, where you've been. I love you. We run around hating people in this world we don't know. I don't need your permission. I don't need your agreement. I know that you're a divine, capable being, and so I love you. And if that scares you or you think I'm weird, deal with it. That's a closing thought. My invitation is take something that Jen and I have said and let it wake up a yearning in your soul and then do something with it. I don't care what's going on. Start today. 1 degree, 2 degrees, 1%. That accumulates so fast.
Beautiful, Kellan. We've had Kellan Fluckiger here with us today. Kellan, where can people connect with you? I know we have kellanfluckiger.com. Is there anywhere else that you would recommend that people connect?
Yeah, yourultimatelife.ca. There's a little URL on the screen here at the top, kellanfluckigermedia.com. That has a whole bunch of stuff about books and also a way to get a hold of me, a contact form. And with a name like Kellan Fluckiger, you can't hide. So if you spell it, I don't say everywhere, almost everywhere, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, blah, 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 and Amazon, all the books. And I've got a whole bunch of songs, like 94 songs in commercial release. So if you go on Spotify, you'll find not only the podcast, but a bunch of music I've done, etc. So you can get a hold of me any way you want to, and I would love to meet you.
Beautiful. Thank you for the kind invitation, Kellan. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And on the note of deep understanding of self, many of you know that I'm CEO of a company called OptiMatch, Om.app. And if any of you out there are asking yourself, I want to know myself better, I want to understand the self so I can fulfill my purpose and connect more deeply to my friends, family, colleagues, there's a free survey you can take on our website, om.app/survey. That will give you a complimentary report of how you're motivated. And we recently launched a dating version of it called SOUL Meet, MEET.love. Our goal is to reimagine how we connect, fall in love, and collaborate with one another. So go to either one of those websites as well to check out what we're up to here. And wishing you all a magical, miraculous week where you apply what Kellan just so beautifully taught us. Create a life of purpose. Ask yourself, what is my vision? What is my dream? And then go reverse engineer it and make it possible. Thank you for being here.